It is a Monday morning. Only it's not a football Monday morning. We didn't play any football. Hey, we have Monday Night Football game. No, we don't have a Monday Night Football game. We have a Tuesday Night Football game that we're prepping for. A lot of spit has gone down since you last saw your Birds 365 Mac duo. No Eagles game. COVID is once again taking over the National Football League, and we have a lot of ways to break it down. Jody Mac, Johnny Mac here with you on a non-football Monday. John McMullen, what did you do with your unsupervised, unscheduled, make it up as you go along football weekend?
Well, I was dealing with too many COVID. You know, I thought it was done with research papers, Jody. Now I'm going to the Lancet to find papers on the new variant, and I just want to poke myself in the eye. But it became that type of weekend because you have one side arguing, oh, the league is screwing the Eagles, which they're not. I can't. I just can't take it, Jody. And by the way, that's what they believe at the NovaCare complex. They do. And I'm like, and I'm trying to explain to guys, and I'm like, it's bad luck. It's not optimal for the Eagles, but they got caught up in a bad situation. The league reacted. And I'm happy Peter King, your boy, who you love, brought out and confirmed my reporting, because what Peter King does, it carries heft, the exact same thing. And that's what went on. The league, this is how I explain it, Jody. The league didn't derail the Eagles season. They saved the Eagles season, and they saved 31 other team seasons, because if they didn't change their testing protocols, this thing would have spread like wildfire throughout the entire league. You'd have massive COVID lists in every city. And, people don't believe that. There's a tremendous amount of risk. Just look at what's going on in the NBA and the NHL,
sure,
and society as a whole. Don't believe the NFL. I get why people don't want to believe the NFL. The NFL is a shady operation. I'll be the first. I say it all the time. Especially when it comes to things
I would say greedy more than shady.
Greedy.
I don't think they're shady, but they're ultimately greedy.
They're shady at times. You're right. Greedy is the end game, and they're shady at times because of that greed. I would put it at like that. In this particular instance, though, I applaud them, because this is typically a very reactive league, and they finally did something proactive. And I think it's going. I know it's going to save the season, and I think it'll be the first step for society as a whole, because society puts way too much weight on what the NFL does, which they shouldn't, but they do, because it is just craziness that we keep testing healthy, asymptomatic people for a very remember, this is not the original variant of the virus. This is a very mild form of the virus. And I mentioned 80% of at least of the Washington football team, the guys that were on their COVID list, were healthy and asymptomatic, didn't feel any symptoms at all. Peter King got, obviously because of who he is, got to talk to Ron Rivera, got to talk to Alan Sills, all but two. So it was way over 80%. All but two of the players on the COVID list for the Washington football team were completely healthy and asymptomatic. Same holds true for Cleveland. Same holds true for the Los Angeles Rams. Those were the three teams caught in it. There's no conspiracy. They're not trying to screw the Eagles season. They're not. I promise you. Promise you.
You mentioned that they're saying the same thing down at the NovaCare complex. When you said that, who were you referring to? What did you mean by, yes, Eagle fans are all going, they're out to get us. It's a conspiracy. Grassy knoll. No one loves the Eagles. Yeah, I get that. What do you mean?
Well, I wouldn't say the Eagles are that out over the top as far as conspiracy, grassy knoll. But they were very upset that the game was moved. and they felt that they did all the right things with the protocols and they were punished. Some of the same themes, just not quite as over the top, but they knew something was coming down. You know, one high profile person in the organization was checking his Apple Watch every 5 minutes, looking for the NFL's, answer, because they had an inclination it was going to be moved back. And it ultimately was moved back. And the league didn't involve them in the process. And guess what? They didn't involve Cleveland. Let me make it. One of the problems is, Jody, J.C. Tretter's the president of the Players Association. And J.C. Tretter is the starting center for the Cleveland Browns, who were one of the teams caught up. There's where the shady part comes in, because J.C. Tretter, there's a little bit of awkwardness there. There's no question he uses the power of his position to help his team at times, and I think he did. However, this is what the NFL wanted. So if that's what pushed J.C. Tretter in the union, and by the way, it's what the players wanted as well, the vast majority of players. The guys who were holding it up were the power brokers at the union. If pushing the game back 2 days for the Cleveland Browns helped push them over the finish line, that's the messy part. I can listen to that part of the conspiracy. Everything else, no, nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, you kind of touched on what has annoyed me over the last 48, 72 hours. I get the NFL and why they did what they did. They are a stone cold greedy league. They're always bowing to the almighty dollar. I think they make decisions because of that as the lead reason to do things. They will, of course, deny that. They'll talk about player health and safety. It's a nice little cover up, but I think that they do things. It really does. But here's the one thing that I don't get. And I was on the radio over the weekend, talked to fans. Getting the feel of the way the fans are looking at. Certainly listen to WIP here in Philadelphia. So I know I'm a Philadelphia fan and readily admit the Eagles got the short end of the stick here. If anybody got screwed more than the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to tell me who they are, because the Eagles actually had a home game. They were sitting on a home game. So their fans have to readjust, not play on a Sunday, have to play on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. You just don't play games on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock in the National Football League. They have to turn around and play on 4 days rest against the Giants. Yeah, they got screwed more than anybody else, and that's unfortunate. And if you want to complain about it, Eagle fans, you can. It's not going to change a thing, but you've got reason to complain about it. So people are killing the NFL, which means they're killing Roger Goodell. He, of course, has to be the guy who's going to take all the you-know-what. He gets paid enough for it, so I'm not going to shed a tear for him or start a GoFundMe page for Roger Goodell, but that's his job. He's got to get rained down on with all the crap. Nobody mentions, except for John McMullen, you just said it, and you were 100% right. The players are partners in this. The NFL can't change any of their protocols without an agreement from the players. Roger Goodell can't just wave his magic wand and say, all right, now wait a minute. I know we said we're going to test twice before you can get back on the field. We're going to cut that to one. We're going to cut that back. He can't do that without the okay of the union.
No.
So if you're going to get mad at Roger Goodell, and you can, Eagle fans, you got to get mad at Fletcher Cox and Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey and everyone else, because they're part of the union, and their union is signing off on the changes the NFL is making. So when you get your mad on, and go ahead, make sure you share it with everyone across the board who has anything to do with what's transpired in the league in the last 4 days. And that means your very own Philadelphia Eagle players too, because their union allowed the movement of this game, the changing of the rules and everything else. And I hear none of that from the fans. None of the fans want to blame their hometown players. They want to just completely shoot all their slings and arrows at Roger Goodell. He should get a lot of it, but he shouldn't get all of it.
No, I mean, I talk about it all the time. I was just talking about it with somebody else the other day, that the job, people don't understand. Oh, it was 97.5. They put up a poll and said, is Roger Goodell a good commissioner? And you know the result of that poll. It was about 85% no, 50.
Right.
And I said, of course, getting myself in trouble, as I tend to do. Well, you know, from his boss's perspective, he's a great commissioner. He does his job. His job is a lightning rod. People don't understand what his job is. So my point is, the whole reason you did this poll, I was trying to make them understand, is the reason he's a good commissioner. You're focusing all your hate, all your angst on Roger Goodell, and you don't see the real power brokers in the background, the real guys responsible for the decisions you hate, and that's the owners, and that's why they think he's a phenomenal commissioner, and that's why they love the job he does, because he's willing to sit out there and take the slings and arrows. And, you know, as we know with mental health, that can be difficult at times. But going down another path as far as the players, look, it's not like the union. And this is, you know, every year I put it in this. I'll give you this example, Jody. Every year in the draft, and this year it'd probably be Bryce Young, who just wins the Heisman Trophy, right? And, you know, he's not eligible for the draft yet. You know, he's got to wait another year. And you'll get all these, even really smart people, even attorneys, he should be able to turn pro if he's good enough to play in the NFL. And I'm like, you're wasting your breath. You're blaming everything on the NFL. The union agreed to that rule. The union is a part of that rule. The union is the one that stops players from entering the draft early. They're involved in these decisions, and they're involved in all these decisions. Where I will say, I'll put a little bit different. It's not like the rank and file is voting and saying, okay, we want to approve this. The guys approving it are the J.C. Treaders of the world.
Right, but the players
yes,
elected those
they elected
power
them,
brokers within the union. So even though on every single decision they might not be individually consulted and be able to cast a vote, they already casted their vote for the guys that represent them.
It's the same thing as the government. When we have awful politicians, and sometimes they make awful decisions that are in their best interest, but in not the rank and file's best interest. Sometimes that does happen. This is not one of those times. The vast majority of players will be happy about these protocols. The vast majority of the Eagles will be happy about these protocols. Maybe not this week, but they will be very happy moving forward, much happier moving forward. And by the way, as far as you're right, as far as the schedule, it's not easy to have a short week. But come on, Jody. If they bring their this is how I described it. It's going to be run in Philly Boys this morning at some point. If they bring their B- game over the next week at Lincoln Financial Field, they're going to be 8-7. And they're going to be in position to make the final push to the playoffs, and whether they make it or not. I mean, Washington is still crippled. We got to see. They might get Taylor Heineke back. They might not. They might get Kyle Allen back. They might not. Garrett Gilbert might still be starting on Tuesday night. The New York Giants, anybody watched the New York Giants yesterday? Now they're talking about starting Jake Fromm. Oh, you got a short week? Well, at least it's the New York stinking Giants. And don't give me they lost to them once. Yeah, that was the worst loss in the history of mankind. Losing to them again would be even worse. You don't even have to bring your A game. They're going to win both of these football games unless they totally, you know what to bet. So that part I don't even get, to be honest.
One more thing I want to run by, and then we'll actually start talking about the matchup between the Eagles and the Washington football team, which we can't do justice to today because we don't know who's going to get cleared over the next 24, 48 hours, but we got to do it anyway. You know I love my hypothetical questions. I'm going to put a hypothetical question to you, and I have an opinion on the answer as well, but I got to get yours first. If you got all the Philadelphia Eagles in the room, count the guys, all the votes, count exactly the same, for the 53 men on the roster, the practice squad guys. Sorry about that. You're on the practice squad. You don't get a vote on this. This are the guys who are going to be capable of playing, and or if you're a guy who's normally on the roster, 52-man roster, but you're out for this given week, and the Eagles have one of those, Landon Dickerson. We'll get to that in a second. If you asked all of them to cast a vote, if Roger Goodell, in his ever-powerful stance, said, I kind of screwed the Eagles because of the flare for Washington, we got to make a decision on this game. We could push it back again, or we could just give you guys a forfeit. We'll give the Philadelphia Eagles a victory. We'll deem this game 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles. You guys win, get you that much closer to a playoff spot. But, oh, by the way, in the bylaws of the NFL, if a forfeit is granted, nobody gets paid. The Washington football team doesn't get paid, but neither do you guys. So all of you Eagle players making whatever salary you're making, 1/17 or about 6% of your salary ain't coming through in your check this week. Here's the deal, guys. You get the vote. Do you want to play? Do you want to wait 2 more days? Do you want to get this game in? Or do you want to put the big W on the board and get the 500 for the year? But no, it's going to take 6% of your salary to do so. What do you think the vote would be of the 53 Eagles who were allowed to vote in that game?
106-0. I think they would vote twice, all of them, to play the game. Yeah, I mean, no, there's not even an inkling of accepting a forfeit, not getting a paycheck. Yeah, I mean, you talk about adults playing a kid's game, and and that's what professional athletes do, but they become business people. And from that perspective, they are not like fans remotely at all. And the most important thing is getting that paycheck. And by the way, it should be. A lot of these guys have families. A lot of these guys have people they have to take care of, whether it's their parents. They're very young, they're responsible, they have mortgages, they have car payments, they have all those real world wonderful problems the rest of us have. And getting paid is the most important thing of all to everybody who has a job. And they are not issuing a paycheck to get a forfeit against a Washington football team they think they're going to beat, and they think they're going to beat pretty handily. Now, that doesn't mean, again, they're not pissed off and they think the game should have been played on Sunday, because they do. But look, they got caught up into it, as I said, but that's all it is. That's all it is. They got caught up with a cluster of positives that also included teams in Cleveland and Los Angeles. And remember, think about the geography, Jody. And this is my biggest problem with the Eagles. They think, well, we followed all the protocols. Well, we got to go to break, and we'll talk about this after. All right. And all of a sudden, Landon Dickerson tests positive magically. Oh, you're following all the protocols. It's incredible hubris to think you're going to stop this. And you say, well, we're doing a better job than Washington. Washington's on the East Coast. Cleveland's in the Midwest. It's almost perfect, sort of, depending who you talk to. And Los Angeles is on the West Coast.
Right.
Again, NBA, look at what's going on. NHL, look at what's going on. Society as a whole, the case spikes. If they didn't change their thought processes from cases to sick people, this season wasn't going to finish, period.
They couldn't possibly have gotten the season in. And again, I don't want to talk too much about the virus itself, and I don't know about how you compare the Delta virus against the Omicron virus, and there's evidence that this one is quote unquote weaker than the original COVID that hit our shores, but we're basing that evidence on the fact that players are saying, yeah, I'm testing positive, but I feel great. I could give you 100%.
And that's why I say, and they're all out there. Forget about the NFL, and that's why I'm looking at the Lancet, which is one of the biggest medical journals. And I don't want to be. These studies have been out there long before the NFL. Long before the NFL. Omicron, as you mentioned, 70% more contagious. That's what the experts who don't work for the NFL believe. Much, much less serious as far as long-term disease and things like that. These things are already out there. They were out there long before the NFL brought this up. The problem is society as a whole is crippled because they're afraid to do anything. In this one case, greed turned us in the right direction. It really did. Greed turned us in the right direction. Because I don't want to say the NFL is doing this out of altruism. They are not. They are doing it, as you mentioned, Jody, out of greed. It worked.
Yeah,
Often it doesn't work. This time it worked.
When in doubt, talking about the NFL, follow the money. It will probably take you to your destination point. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We thought for sure we were going to be here this morning talking about an Eagles game, probably an Eagles victory. Won't say definitely, probably an Eagles victory over the Washington football team. That didn't happen. We all know by now game has been postponed to tomorrow night, 7 p.m. And all right, quick. I know we got to get the break, but just a quick question for you, football type question, not an Omicron virus type question.
Ugh.
2 NFL games played Tuesday night and both start at 7 o'clock. Why? Why would you not, like here tonight on Monday night, you got a 5 o'clock start, and then you got the regular Monday night starting time. Why did they go with split time? Why didn't they go with split times on Tuesday? We're going to get to see the Eagles Washington here in Philadelphia. We understand that. But we're going to miss the other Monday night game. And if you have some interest in seeing as much NFL football as possible, you're not going to get to see that other game because it's basically going to be blacked out here. Each market will get their own team, and there'll be a national game. And I don't even know who's going to get a larger segment of the national broadcast. I'm sure they're going to split it somehow. Why do you think they scheduled both for the same time?
I don't know. I can only speculate. You know, one of the things, they could have had a 4 o'clock game on NFL Network. They could have had an 8 o'clock game on Fox. I guess they didn't want to push it back another hour. Like that matters. Who knows? You know, they obviously TV has a big part of this as well, which we haven't even brought up, in the fact that they love, you know, when they get to put NFL programming on weird nights because their ratings are going to go up. So they wouldn't have had a trouble finding a window. My guess is certain teams would have been complaining about the earlier window, and obviously the late window would have been obvious from a perspective of who's playing and what's happening. They would have complained.
Yeah, and one's an East Coast game, one's a West Coast game. Yeah. It's pretty obvious which one was going to be
that's what I mean.
Right?
But when you start talking about preparation time and all the other stuff and all the ancillary and all, everybody would have been, they're already complaining. So they said, no, same time, same window. That's my guess.
Here's just now, this is probably going to tick some people off. Those that are right now enjoying having their mat on here in Philadelphia because the Eagles got the short end of the stick. The Eagles actually would have been benefited by having the game played at 4:30, 5 o'clock, because that gives them that much more time to rest, to get ready for the Giants the week after. They've got more time than they need to prep for this game, because not only did they have an extra 2 games, they're coming off their bye. They haven't been on the field in forever, it seems like.
Yeah.
So if they had played this one a little bit earlier, it would have been better for the football team known as the Philadelphia Eagles. You know who it's worse for? The 70,000 people that are going to go down to the stadium. Because if you move the game up to 4:30, now you actually have to leave work early. Instead of getting out of work at 5 and hustling your way down to the Lincoln Financial Field.
And the Flyers are playing, although they might not be playing.
Right. You don't know that for a fact. That they're scheduled to play as of right now. But maybe the league threw the Eagle fans a bone and said, we can't schedule.
I don't think so.
You don't think that was
unfortunately, and this is the part, you brought this up and I should have, and I know we got to get the break. So last thing, I went off on a tangent. I should have mentioned, I don't think about the logistics of it for fans, and that's my fault because they have to uproot their lives, and either does the league, to be honest, and that's why I don't think about it. And they know you're not turning off the TV. You know, you've heard me say that a million times. Yeah. They don't care. They don't care.
They know.
I'm sorry.
They know they're going to get eyeballs to sets no matter what time, no matter what day. Did you see the number that Fox did for the Thursday night game between the Chiefs and the Chargers?
Yeah.
The biggest Thursday night game in the history of the NFL is doing just fine with its product on television. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with the Eagles. We'd like to keep it on the field, but the Omicron virus keeps dragging it off the field, so we have to react to that as well. We'll come back and give you that much more on this upcoming showdown between Washington and Philadelphia. Who is going to play in this game? We still don't know. We'll break all that down for you. Hour number 2, we're going to get our buddy Michael Kaye from NJ.com up to join us here on Birds 365.
This is Joe Krause of Krause's Coats, inviting you to donate a slightly worn coat or jacket and help veterans stay warm this winter. Go to Krause's Coats on Facebook to help those who've served. Have a happy holiday.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The city of Philadelphia sparkles during the Christmas holiday season with an array of colorful light displays and illuminated Christmas trees, donated or installed for free by the talented electricians of IBEW Local 98. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities at IBEW Local 98, visit us at www.ibew98.org.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
As a hard-working American, you've never experienced how tough life can be until now. A catastrophic injury while working on the job. A personal injury from someone else's negligence. Turned away by other law firms in the region who didn't bother to learn your story. It's time to meet the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm and managing partner Brian Fritz. Badly injured? Call the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm. Find out why they say, we got this.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
It's a football Monday. Where's the COVID Monday? Here on Birds 365. We're still prepping for the Washington football team against the Philadelphia Eagles. Game not happening till tomorrow. We do have 2 games tonight. First, an NFL Network game at 5 o'clock. Nick Mullins to the rescue. We'll see what Nicky Mullins can do for the... You know he can't play. Browns and the Raiders in the early game today, which is a 5 o'clock start, and then the usual time ESPN for the Bears and the Vikings. And then Tuesday's action, you got the Seahawks and the Rams playing on the West Coast in Los Angeles, and they're starting the game at 4 o'clock locally, which makes it a 7 o'clock game here in town. And Eagles and the Washington football team are playing at the exact same time. So for those of you sitting at home, not going down to Lincoln Financial Field, thinking you watch 2 games, No, they'll both be on at the same time, and they will show the Eagle game here in town, which means you will not be able to see the Seahawks and the Rams. I don't know how many people really care about that game. They should, because I think the Seahawks actually have a chance to win the game, and then they could jump into the playoff mix. If the Rams win, they'll be ahead of the Eagles. Doesn't change the playoff stance much. But these are 4 key games. We still have less to play. Usually we have 1 game left. We still have 4 games left to week 15 in the NFL schedule. The most important would be the Eagles and the Washington football team. Johnny Mac, I want to ask you about a key guy in what's going to come down Tuesday at Lincoln Financial Field. And that's the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Sirianni. From the day he was hired, we've been overanalyzing Nick Sirianni here in town. Didn't have the greatest first ever press conference, has handled his business, done what he's done, achieved what he's achieved, missed the mark on this, that, and the other thing. All in all, I think you and I are both pro Sirianni guys. Got to go thumbs up, thumbs down. We're both thumbs up at this time. I feel pretty strongly about that as a first-year coach comparing to all other first-year coaches. I think the Eagles, as of now, and it's still very early in the process, have made a pretty damn good hire. And one of the things I like about Nick Sirianni is I think his players like him. I think they are motivated by him. I think they enjoy playing for Nick Sirianni and the staff that he mostly put together. So I expect this Eagle team, even with the issues they have, even if they might be ticked off, even if they think what happened was unfair, at some point you just got to put that all behind you and narrow focus on the task at hand, which is beating the Washington football team. How much faith do you have in Sirianni that the Eagles will be ready come kickoff tomorrow night?
Oh, yeah, I have faith. And by the way, I think he'll use this, as Doug Peterson used to use this type of thing as well. Us versus them type of sentiment. He'll play up. Yeah, we got screwed. Yeah. Let's go out there and prove it to them. So you just have another card to sort of deal from the deck to use. Yeah, I expect the Eagles to be ready. Would be more concerned about Russ than anything else. As you mentioned, they haven't played for a long time. Maybe there's a little bit of toughness trying to get back on track and trying to get into it, trying to get a flow of the offense. I do expect Jalen Hurts to play. That, by the way, that helps. 48 hours, granted, it was designed for what it was designed for, the Washington football team, to put a representative team on the field. And we'll see. By the way, they still have a ton of people on the COVID list. There is no guarantee they're getting off. Some of the key ones did, most notably Jonathan Allen and Montez Sweat. But, both of the quarterbacks are still on there. And Ron Rivera said it was trending well for Taylor Heineke today. So we'll see.
Hold on. Let me interrupt you there because you've done medical research, which is more than I've done.
Unfortunately.
Thank you for that, John. Trending better. What the hell does that mean?
Oh, now we got to talk about viral load, Joe.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, now it's all about the viral load. So they're trying to gauge how contagious somebody might be and all that kind of stuff. So that's what he meant when he was talking about trending in the right direction. I forget the number.
How does a team find out what your viral load is? When you test, can you break it down and be able to see?
Yeah, they claim they can break it down. So that's a whole nother. I don't want to go down that.
You don't want to go there.
I don't want to go.
I do and I don't, because I want to understand it. I just don't want to discuss it and have to understand it that well that I could give a dissertation on it. But when he said what he said about, well, they're trending in the right direction, I knew it had the CHR. Are those the letters for what you'll be able to?
Yeah, 35. You got to have 35, the viral load. So
this stuff goes over my head.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe in all the expert research you did over the weekend, you could break it down to us.
They claim that's the number that would indicate, like Dr. Sills, Alan Sills, who's the NFL's chief medical officer. He had a conference call last week. He trying to update people as best he can, and we're all lay people. So the claim is that, again, the new variant isn't nearly as contagious. He still says there's no evidence at any point, even with
the new virus is more contagious.
More contagious. I'm sorry. Less serious is what I meant to say. More contagious, less serious. There's still no evidence, their claim, even with the more difficult strains of the virus. There's no evidence of on the field contagion infecting another player. That might change, and the NFL might have an issue with that if this truly is as contagious as people think it is. And that's why they're concerned with the viral load part of it. And supposedly, if you reach a certain level, it's okay. And that's where you do have to rely on the experts, because none of us certainly have anything to do with that. But he also mentioned, and I think this is the key point, how, doctors in the real world are handling this now, is that they are not testing healthy asymptomatic people. In other words, if you go to your doctor and you're one of the, if you're a hypochondriac, if you're worried about everything, you're completely fine, you have no symptoms, but you think you got it because your brother's cousin's, friend was at a party 6 weeks ago and somebody got it, they're not going to test you anymore. They might have back in the early stages. They're not going to do that. So they're not going to test healthy asymptomatic people, and that's where the NFL is. That's the goal. That's where they should be. To be honest, that's where the NBA should be, and they better get there awful quick if they want to save their season. NHL, Major League Baseball coming up. Hopefully they'll prove to be a leader. Otherwise, we're not going to play these sports again.
Because this virus does seem to be spreading rather easily, even if the players are asymptomatic. And I'm going to be a killjoy here and probably tick some people off. But I think it's a legit concern. Who decides if someone's asymptomatic? I'll answer that question for myself.
Well, there's
the individual does.
There's the
and then the players all say, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm fine." And then as soon as they get from the facilities, they go out there and they blow their nose 147 times. So
now
that's the only fly in the ointment, deciding who is actually asymptomatic.
Yes, you hit on the unintended consequence, Jody. And this is my favorite part of the new policy. And, I shouldn't laugh about this, but if you can't laugh about it, why can't you? You have the TSA portion of the new testing policy, as I like to call it, random testing. So they're going to random test certain people to try to weed out as much as possible. However, you brought up a good point. Playoff push. I got a scratchy throat. There's going to be a lot of players who aren't self-reporting that. Now, there's some obvious symptoms. If your nose is running uncontrollably, as you mentioned, if you're sneezing 100 times, they're gonna test you. But anybody who's ever had a cold, and that, by the way, is all of us, knows sometimes outwardly you don't show any symptoms, sore throat, scratchy throat, you're not congested. You say, I'm fine, I'm going to work, I don't care. You got to get this done, you got to get that done. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of that. And players want to play, man.
Right. The example that you and I gave earlier, if you let the Eagles vote, take a forfeit or take a W, which way you going to, and they would all say, no, we'll play the game. We want to get paid. Let's play the game. And that's where the money factor as well. But just overall, in general, players want to play. That's what they do. That's what their livelihood is. That's what they're mentally prepared to do. That's what they're geared to do. So they all want to do it. Good for them. We're happy for that. Thank you very much, because we enjoy watching you play.
And Jody, can I give you another unintended consequence?
Sure.
Because of where we are, and because there are unkind people in the world, you're going to have two different camps you're going to have the one camp who is, for whatever reason, built a identity around this virus, which is kind of weird to me, and thinks you should shut down everything at every point. You have that camp, and then you're going to have another camp who just wants to win the damn football game, who just wants the layup, who is pissed off because they saw, the funny Urban Meyer quote that was all around all about every week is Alabama. Did you see that? Well, this week wasn't Alabama for the Eagles. They had the rare layup in the NFL. And there are many fans who just wanted to win the game at all costs. If there's not 25 Washington football, I don't care. Give me the win. Well, can you imagine if the Eagles make a playoff run and they're in the playoffs and an important player is self-reporting that he has potential cold-like symptoms? Yeah.
That's not going to go over well. And I hear the point you're making about Urban Meyer every week is Alabama. Well, some Eagle fans were looking at this as, well, this week is North, South, West, East Montana State coming in to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Getting that big W, head to the playoffs, doesn't matter. That's their problem. COVID is their problem. Their testing is their problem. We don't care. Well, now that they pushed it back 2 days, all of a sudden Landon Dickerson is not playing for the Eagles. Kind of good news, bad news, because Quez Watkins was out and would have been out. Yes, they tested negative yesterday, so he would not have been back in time to play in the game. The Eagles would have been a wide receiver short. But now they're going to go into Tuesday's game, a key piece to their offensive line short. Before I ask you how much of an effect it's going to have on the field, I got a question about what does Landon Dickerson do until he gets that negative test that's going to get him back eligible to play. Tomorrow's game, pre-game, if Nick Sirianni's going to grab the team and bring them together to say something to them in the locker room, is Landon Dickerson there? Because as you correctly stated or speculated, he may go down Sirianni with his speech, we did the right thing. They're stiffing us. This is the price we pay for keeping our guys protected. Well, meanwhile, Landon Dickerson's standing there, and he's the one guy who can't play. It's going to be pretty bad for Landon Dickerson if he's – how the hell did you test positive? But the rest of us are fine. So I'm just wondering where Landon will be when Sirianni gives that rah-rah speech to get him ready for the game. It does kind of suck for him and for the Eagles that did – do the right thing and kept away from testing.
Well, this is the interesting part, and a lot of fans have asked me this, and I don't know the answer, to be honest. I don't think he is 100% ruled out of this game. Now, I obtained the memo that was sent to the actual teams and, the GMs and the coaches, and it was dated December 18th. And it said effective immediately, changes in testing protocols. There was other wording that said it'll start after the weekend, which means today, which I think, first day of the business week makes some sense as well. So in theory, either way, the new protocols are already in place. So the question is, is there a grandfather clause? Does he have to? None of this is can I run down? Can I get clear-cut answers on? Because I don't think anybody has the answers, to be honest. Can he test positive test negative, or have a viral load to the point that it's not deemed as what we just talked about a little bit and get cleared tomorrow? In theory, it's possible. It's probably not likely because, again, if you test positive, that means you have the virus in theory, unless it's a false positive. So I don't want to get people's hopes up, but I do want to point out that it's easier to get back on the field starting today or starting over the weekend, whenever the starting gun went off. So there's at least a possibility. I wouldn't expect it. But if he's ruled out of the game, he's not going to be there, Jody. I mean, if that's the whole point. Go quarantine, go home, go be by yourself, and get back as quickly as possible. So, he's going to be set off adrift on an island to be by himself. And, Nick will use it and say, man, Landon should be here. We got screwed. See, because Eagles fans have been saying to me, watch, a bunch of our guys are going to test positive and they're not going to push it back. I said, well, A, that's why they scaled back the testing policy. B, wait till today, because Landon wouldn't have been able to play yesterday. So if they played Sunday, he wouldn't have been there.
And here's the different readings of different memos and definitions and the like that you, me, and everybody else has to deal with. When I read that memo, you said you kind of got it as a beat report. I read it on some website. Here's what I interpreted the weekend as. Once the NFL is done with week 15.
Yeah, I've heard that. I should have thrown that. I'm positive that I'm pretty positive that's not the case. I think it starts today.
Okay. You're looking at a regular calendar and saying the weekend ended at midnight on Sunday and Monday at 12:01 a.m. starts a new week.
By the way,
the NFL week is a little different than everybody else's week.
Yeah, and it's different this week because typically it would be just Minnesota, Chicago. No, you have 3 other games. You could be right. Because nobody at the NFL seems to know. But I think it's more of they sprung it on people so late over the weekend. Remember, a lot of teams are out of the facilities. Some are traveling, some aren't even in the same city. They have to get ready, they have to get ramped up. That's why I think it's more about the business day, not the business of the NFL and the normalcy. Now, the teams who are playing, they're in an unnormal situation anyway. But I think the teams that are in their normal week, I think they've already started with the new system, so to speak.
All right, Johnny Mac, let's try and take it at least partially back onto the field a little bit here. Because of the postponement, because the game has been pushed back 54 hours. I think that's the math. 6 hours above 48.
It's a lot of prep time.
And that's right. As we've already noted, they're coming off their bye. So the extra rest means diddly squat to the Eagles. Just another reason why this was very unfortunate that it had to happen to this football team at this time when they weren't the reason for it. It does potentially, here's looking for the silver lining, it does potentially give Jalen Hurts 54 more hours to get ready for a football game. And we're all waiting to see how much time it's going to take for him to get over the high ankle sprain. And the only thing that heals it is downtime. Well, he bought into an extra 54 hours he had nothing to do with, but he got it. You've been viewing what he can or can't do in practice / walkthroughs and the like. And the Eagles are certainly not going to tell anyone whether he's going to start, whether he's going to play, whether he's going to be active, whether he's going to be in the press box. Do you think the 54 hours makes any difference? Do you think it improves his chances to start in the game and or be active? Because we were talking last week, you and I debated it. If he can't start, if you think that Gardner Minshew gives you the best chance to start the game, do you have Jalen Hurts be the backup in case Minshew goes down? Because, you're going to need to win this game. And sorry, I'll take an 85% Jalen Hurts over 100% Reed Sinnett. And I would actually have him on the field as a backup. You went down you want to cause that quarterback controversy road. The only way you avoid it is by having Jalen not play at all. Does the extra 50-some-odd hours change the Eagles' position as to who's going to be playing quarterback and when in the game on Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it changes dramatically, but only because of the health of Jalen Hurts and the more time you have in between the injury, and you continue to rehab and you continue to do all the things you're supposed to do, and all of the stem work with the trainers and the medical staff and all that kind of stuff, it just gets you 2 extra days to get back on the field at a more optimal level. I don't think it changes the mentality if they say he's not playing. I don't think he's dressing as a backup. I don't think that's going to happen at any point. If he's dressed, he's playing. Now at that case, then if he gets hurt again and Gardner comes in, fine. But I don't think they want to open that can of worms. So I never thought that was even on the table. Him being, he's 85%, he's going to be the backup. You're right. Jalen Hurts at 85% is better than Reed Sinnett. The Eagles just aren't going down that road. They're not going down that road. When Jalen Hurts is ready to play, he's going to be on the field.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I need to. Let's say that happens. Let's say Gardner Minshew plays and Jalen Hurts is not even active for the game. And Gardner Minshew gets hurt. And the Eagles are winning the game. And Reed Sinnett is put into the game, and he turns it over, and he fumbles, he gets hit blindside, coughs it up, and the Eagles end up losing to Washington. Would I not be in my rights on Wednesday to come on here and on Birds 365 and just lambaste the entire Eagle organization for
you can do that at any point.
Oh, I get it, but you get the point
I'm
I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
They're prioritizing staying away from a quarterback controversy over having the 2 best quarterbacks that give them a chance to win a game that they desperately want to win. Isn't that just nuts?
Well, 2 things. I think, yes, you'd be within your rights to bring that up if that hypothetical came to pass, and certainly Reed Sinnett cost them a football game. But I would say they're willing to gamble that that's not going to happen. And everything is a gamble. And, it happens all the time in the NFL. There are other issues, the games in life in general and players are not in a vacuum. And there are other things you have to weigh. And I agree with the Eagles on this for what it's worth. I don't agree with their take on how badly they got screwed, but I agree with their mentality here. It's not worth it. It's from a pure logic standpoint with no nuance, I agree with you. Best players should be on the field. Best players should be dressed. If he's not ready to go, but he's still better than Reed Sinnett as an emergency quarterback, so to speak. I agree with you in a vacuum. In the real world, I agree with them. I don't want to go down that road. And you roll the dice, as you often do in life. We roll the dice when we cross the street, Jody, especially in a large city and cars are flying by. Hey, you gamble a little bit, and this is a good gamble. It's not like 50-50. It's the right thing to do. And by the way, I don't think it's going to matter because Jalen Hurts is going to be healthy and not healthy, not 100% most likely, but Jalen Hurts is going to be starting on Tuesday night. I wasn't sure of that on Sunday. He was back as a full participant. So obviously things were trending in the right direction, but just from watching him Friday, again, I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. When the Eagles do their stretching routine, he looks fine when they're going straight ahead. When they start to do side-to-side things, he still looks like he's struggling a little bit. And that raised some eyebrows. But, yeah, I think he's going to start, so it's not going to matter.
Give me a Johnny Mac percentage. Percentage chance Jalen Hurts is a starting quarterback tomorrow for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm way over 50 now. So, I mean, here's the thing about this Tuesday. The Eagles have extra time. We don't have extra time. There was no media access over the weekend. There's no media access today. So I haven't gotten to see him. Last time I saw him was Friday. I was iffy. I'm just going on, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and where he is, and just the natural evolution of what worst case scenario is probably a 4-week injury. He's getting closer to that demarcation line. So I'm at 75, 80%. Maybe that's a little bit low.
And, we got to check with somebody punch up D-Gun's Twitter, because he's got one of the best pipelines into the Eagles locker room as far as
D-Gun will have it today, because they're going to have today. Remembers like Saturday on a normal week, so they're going to have a walkthrough, and they have situational meetings, and the players are going to be made aware of who the starting quarterback is going to be. And D-Gun's probably going to get it before anybody else.
Yeah, he's got some seriously good ties into that locker room. All right, John McMullen, Jody McDonald, your Mac Birds 365 guys. I see on our screen here, we got 180 of you guys tuned in right now. We got one today. What, because we're talking about the virus? Is nobody not like? I know, I get it. Some people very sensitive. They don't want to talk about it. John and I would prefer not to talk about it. But we have to. Yes. But we have to, because it's affecting the Eagles haven't played yet this week. Why? Because of the virus. So, yes, we have to talk about it. I hope that's not the reason why you guys aren't hitting that like button. John, what should they do?
Like, share, and subscribe to the
go.
JAKIB Media YouTube channel. What are we up to? We are up. I always like to. I'm not a math guy. You're the math guy, Jody. So I think when I started, we're like 50. Now we're well over 9,000. So give me a percentage increase there of where we are.
9,000 what?
Subscribers.
Oh, okay. Your guess is as good as mine. All I know, we got 182 people watching right now, and we've had all of one like today. Come on, hit that button. We could use the love. I don't understand the way the whole mathematics of it work, but they tell me, and John's very good at putting it out there for you. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I think we got a lot of subscribers that are already watching. So if we got any newbies that haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. You can surely hit the like button and share us as well. The Birds 365, Mac guys could use your help. Thank you very much in advance. We'll come back, continue the conversation and showdown with the Washington football team and the Eagles. Michael Kaye from NJ.com going to hop aboard. Oh, all right. Nobody's watching right now, right? Are we going to ask him any wrestling questions? If Krause's definitely not watching now. So, are you going to fire a wrestling question?
Yeah, I'll probably fire one. I tend to close it out with a wrestling question to Mike, because Mike's a big fan. But, I thought that you were going to go in a different direction. I thought you and Mike were going to gang up on me this morning and say the Eagles got screwed. So I'm happy it's now. You don't think the Eagles got screwed.
No.
I don't think the Eagles got. Mike thinks the Eagles got screwed.
No, it's unfortunate. I'm not saying that they didn't get disadvantaged. If that's
yeah, it's not optimal as I described, but they'll be fine.
No, to use your own word, did the Eagles get screwed? Yes. Is there anything they could have done about it? No. Was it purposeful that they were trying to take a piece of the hide of the Philadelphia Eagles? No, of course not. They were protecting their entire league and all their teams. They weren't looking to stick it to the Philadelphia Eagles. They did. They stuck it to the Eagles, but they weren't looking to do it. They didn't do it on purpose. They didn't do it with malice the way some Eagle fans are suggesting the league did. But they got screwed.
Well said, Jody. Better said than me. See, I should have listened to you. And by the way, the percentage increase on the YouTube channel, wow. I can't even explain how much we've increased. So thanks to the fans.
But we could still use more.
Yeah, we can still use more. We can certainly still use more, but well over almost a 2,000% increase, much higher than that. Tremendous.
We appreciate those who appreciate us. Those of you who haven't yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Like, share, subscribe. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are your Birds Mac 365 guys. Coming back, we'll continue the look at the Washington football team against the Eagles and prepare for Michael Kaye of NJ.com to join us.
This is Joe Krause of Krause's Coats, inviting you to donate a slightly worn coat or jacket and help veterans stay warm this winter. Go to Krause's Coats on Facebook to help those who've served. Have a happy holiday.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The city of Philadelphia sparkles during the Christmas holiday season with an array of colorful light displays and illuminated Christmas trees, donated or installed for free by the talented electricians of IBEW Local 98. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities at IBEW Local 98, visit us at www.ibew98.org.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
As a hardworking American, you've never experienced how tough life can be until now. A catastrophic injury while working on the job. A personal injury from someone else's negligence. Turned away by other law firms in the region who didn't bother to learn your story. It's time to meet the Fritz & Bianculli Law Firm and managing partner Brian Fritz. Badly injured? Call the Fritz & Bianculli Law Firm. Find out why they say, "We got this."
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
We would be John McMullen and Jody McDonald, your Mac and Mac Birds 365 guys. That was number 2 on a Monday, where we thought we were going to be talking about the Eagles after a game, after a victory of the Washington football team. Didn't happen. COVID kicked in. The league started to juggle some balls. They end up suspending or postponing the game till Tuesday night, tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, and we all just have to deal with it. But the Eagles have to find a way to win this football game. And because we've been so distracted and there are so many different ways of looking at what happened and why it happened and how the NFL reacted and how the Eagles are being unfairly treated here, that's what we've been talking about for the majority of the first hour of our show. However, they are going to play the game tomorrow, John. And you and I just talked about the quarterback. You gave it a much higher than 50% chance Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter. Even if he is, are the Eagles going to go ground and pound? The Eagles have had ups and downs and runs in their season. The best football they've played is when they run the ball heavily. a lot of that includes Jalen Hurts on quarterback designed run plays, which he may not be called upon to do as much because of the condition of his ankle, which means do they just hand it off to Miles Sanders and maybe a returning Jordan Howard and Kenny Gainwell and Boston Scott? Give us a little crystal ball look at how you think the Eagle offense is going to go against a Washington football team, which is getting guys back. They've got a bunch of guys that were in the testing protocol. You told us what was the number? 21 out of 23 were screaming and yelling, going, we're fine. Why the hell are we not practicing? Why are we not playing? We're not feeling any effects of this positive test. But they still did miss some downtime, some practice, some reps. So it's going to be a not quite 100%. And, oh, by the way, there are still a bunch of guys in the protocol, but they did get a bunch back too. How is the Eagle game plan going to play itself out on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I think they are going to try to run the football. And we've been through this. We've had sort of this streak of games where they faced teams that had good run defenses on paper and they ran it anyway. And we're in another circumstance of that. If you look at Washington, and, their best player is going to be back, and that's Jonathan Allen, and he is a really, really good player. They're much better on paper at run defense than pass defense. So it would make you have cause and say, well, maybe Jalen's not 100%, as you said. Let's try to pass the ball. It's easy to pass the ball on this team. I don't think the Eagles will fall into that trap. They seem to have corrected that and say we can run the football on anyone, and they have. They're the number one ranked run offense in the league now officially. They've been off the charts for the past 6 weeks. However, big part of that was Landon Dickerson and those huge combo blocks on the left side with Jordan Mailata just devastating and dominating people to the point where I was starting to say, when we actually talked about football, you might remember, Jody, I was starting to say, and this is not an insult to Devontae Smith, because I think Devontae Smith is a tremendous player. I think you know my thoughts on that. However, because of the circumstance of the Eagles and where they are as an offense, I was starting to think to myself, you know what? Landon Dickerson's been more important to this team than Devontae Smith. I see you shaking your head, but you get my point. He's played very well, and now he's most likely not going to be in there. And now you have Sua Opeta. Now, it was about 2 weeks ago, who Jason Kelsey said, Sua is a Tesla stock, he called him. He's about to explode. He's been dominating in practice. I'd rather have Landon Dickerson in there.
As would I. And here's the reason why I shook my head. I get the point you're trying to make, but I think there's a better way to put it. You said that Landon Dickerson's a more important rookie on the Eagles than Devonta Smith. Well, I think the easiest way to determine that is take him out of the lineup, put someone else in his place. Where is the bigger drop-off? You tell me. You put in Sua Opeta for Landon Dickerson, or you put J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in for Devonta Smith. Where is the bigger drop-off?
Yeah, but I think that probably has more to do with the other player. I mean, we've talked about the Eagles, the other players. We've talked about the Eagles receiver issues
on the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles part of that is judging the other players who are coming in to
no, I get what you're saying, but I guess my retort to that would be they're going to run the football in the second circumstance, and they're going to run the football in the second circumstance. So that is more of my viewpoint. They're a running offense now, which Eagles fans love, and they should love it. And they're going to run the football with Devontae Smith, which doesn't make a lot of sense. You should get him the football. And they're going to run the football with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Whereas, and that's not Devontae's fault. That's just where they are as an offense. So they're going to run the football either way. And the question is, can Sua Opeta be the latest I'm starting to think that Jeff Stoutland has a greenhouse out in the Philly suburbs, and he's just growing guards out there. And we'll see if he's got another one. Maybe he does. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. I think Landon Dickerson is really, really started to come on as he's gotten more comfortable, more away from the torn ACL he suffered in December. And, man, some of those combo blocks with either way, the Eagles got it right in the first and second round for the first time in a very, very long time. And, maybe stick with that Alabama theme to make
here's where I would happy. Here's the way I would have described your point if and I'm not disagreeing with your evaluation of the player, it's just the way that you stated it. If you graded out all the guards in the NFL, the starting guards in the NFL, that'd be 64 of them, 32 teams, 2 apiece. And you graded out all the wide receivers, the top 2 wide receivers on every National Football League team, I would think that, Landon Dickerson might grade out higher in comparison to all the other starting guards in the league than Devontae Smith would against all the other starting wide receivers in the National Football League. That makes the point you're trying to make, but just in the vacuum that is the Philadelphia Eagles, if the Eagles didn't have Devontae Smith, can you play 3 safeties in the box? The other teams would come in here and go, we dare you to throw the football. We're going to put everybody, 11 in the box. We got 11 football players. We're going to put 11 in the box because we don't have any faith you can throw the football at all if they didn't have Devontae Smith. That's why I say he may be more important to the Eagles than Landon Dickerson, but it doesn't mean he's been a better rookie player than Landon Dickerson. All right, you're right. Sua Opeta has been getting lots of compliments in practice from his teammates, and they believe he's ready to step in and play. We'll see on Tuesday night if that's actually the case. You don't believe that's going to change Nick Sirianni's play calling one iota that Dickerson is out of the lineup, do you?
I don't think it will. I really don't. And remember, we're down, forget, you don't even think about Brandon Brooks and Isaac Seumalo.
Brandon Brooks, wait, get Ed Kratz on the line. Nah. Is Brandon Brooks actually getting time this week in practice? And we had a sighting. Is he even in the state of Pennsylvania right now? Do we know?
No sighting, no information, no nothing. Jack Driscoll just had ankle surgery. We knew he was out for the year, but so now we're down to Nate Herbig and Sua Opeta at offensive guard. And you know what? Jeff Stoutland will make him better than at least half of the
and oh my
guard
God,
duos.
Eagle fans are going to hate that I bring this up, but I have to bring it up. What happens if Kelsey goes out?
Yeah, that would be interesting. They still have. Remember, they have Brett Toth, they have LaRaven Clark. They could bring up Coyote Awasika. Get him thrown into the mix. Luke Juriga's back. They have a lot of bodies.
No, I'm talking about in game.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
one of those guys going to be activated for the game on.
Oh yeah, understand. Remember, if Landon Dickerson's out, you get a COVID replacement, so you can elevate somebody from the practice squad as a COVID replacement. You have your normal practice squad elevations. They could activate every single one of those names if they wanted to. They're going to have the ability. I think certainly LaRaven Clark's going to be up. I think certainly Brett Toth is going to be up, and they probably elevate one of those two.
Well, when you say up, they are eligible to be activated, but you still got to come up with 53 names on Tuesday night, right?
No, well, 47. Yeah, but I think they're going to dress what I meant. They're going to dress. Remember, you don't have you're not going to have Landon Dickerson, most likely. Jack Driscoll's gone. You have room, you have slots to dress guys. They need backup offensive linemen. They're going to dress backup offensive linemen. It's interesting when Kelsey has his maintenance days at practice, which are quite a few these days. Typically, when that happens and guys are healthy, Nate Herbig is takes the center snaps. Well, Nate Herbig has to take the right guard snaps. So Brett Toth has been the one filling in at center for Jason Kelce when he has his maintenance days. So that would indicate to me that he's going to be up and he's going to be dressed. And LaRaven Clark, I think, is going to be dressed as a swing tackle, but he could also play guard. And they might even dress, as I said, they might even elevate another one just in case. But they'll have plenty of bodies. That won't be an issue. The question is, are those bodies good enough? And, you know, Jason Kelce's dealing with a lot of stuff. I think people just assume he's going to make it through the game, just assume he's going to play. That's not – he's going to play. The question is, can he make it through the game?
One last question, and then we'll get Michael Kaye of NJ.com up here next. Quez Watkins cleared protocols, so he is back on the active roster, which means he can play, means he's going to start. But he did miss a week, but it was a lesser week to begin with. John McMullen prognostication. Who gets more snaps this week? Jalen Reagor or Quez Watkins?
Well, again, it always depends. Are they going to run for 200 yards or are they going to run for 80 yards? If it's, you know, if they're going to have to throw the football more, in other words, if they're playing a lot of 11, if they're playing a lot of 11 personnel, I think it's Quez Watkins. If they're playing more 12 and 13 because they're dominating and they're just running the football, I think Jalen is, again, sort of the crash test dummy to seal the edge and as they just run the football. So everything is dependent. But if they need to throw the ball, I would say Quez Watkins.
We shall see. Got to wait to Tuesday night to find out. All right. Mac and Mac taking a quickie Birds 365 timeout. When we come back, Michael Kaye of NJ.com. There you go. Beat Writer's going to hop aboard here with us on Birds 365.
This is Joe Krause of Krause's Coats, inviting you to donate a slightly worn coat or jacket and help veterans stay warm this winter. Go to Krause's Coats on Facebook to help those who've served. Have a happy holiday.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The city of Philadelphia sparkles during the Christmas holiday season with an array of colorful light displays and illuminated Christmas trees, donated or installed for free by the talented electricians of IBEW Local 98. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities at IBEW Local 98, visit us at www.ibew98.org.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
As a hard-working American, you've never experienced how tough life can be until now. A catastrophic injury while working on the job. A personal injury from someone else's negligence. Turned away by other law firms in the region who didn't bother to learn your story. It's time to meet the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm and managing partner Brian Fritz. Badly injured? Call the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm. Find out why they say, "We got this."
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Mac here with you on Bird Street 65. We have an esteemed guest joining us, Michael Kaye from NJ.com. What's that hat you got on?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I didn't prepare well. I just saw it on Amazon. It looked really cool and comfortable. I think it's Mountain something, but it has an M, and, you know, I'm Mike, so it kind of works. Plus, it's like one of those UH ones.
Is that Mountain Dew, or you should get a check for that?
I need it for you guys waking me up early and making me prep for this.
Oh, come on. It's not early. You don't have to do any prep.
Who's waking up in the middle of the night.
It's not that early. But, hey, find yourself a Christmas gift. Come on. You got to go family first, Mike. You know.
Right.
That. You know that. All right, let's start. We have to start with what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles. You probably had the best immediate reaction because you were able to get Boston Scott. And obviously the organization, the team was unhappy about what the NFL did, what they felt they had to do. Now you've taken a step back over the weekend. Still, what's your thought process? What have the Eagles calmed down? What is their current mindset as we get closer to game nights in the Washington football team?
Well, you know, I was just thinking about this while you were asking the question, but this really seems like a time when having Nick Sirianni as a head coach really is effective, just because his constant energy. They're not going to lose sight of this game, right? Like, I think I wrote the other day that a trap game kind of goes out the window when you're as furious as they are with this situation. But look, I think it's objectively a screw job. Like, that's what it is for three teams. It's not just the Eagles, the Seahawks, who you just saw put 6 players on the COVID list, the Raiders, who were preparing to leave for Cleveland when they got the message. And look, the NFL didn't work with any of these 3 teams. They weren't like, hey, you know, if we're going to move this, would you prefer this or this? I can tell you, based on my reporting, that players are finding out after they left the building. Obviously, Fridays are typically quicker days. But the team – sorry, I don't want to get on Colin Cowherd's, like, not be a QB list. The team didn't find out – didn't get full confirmation until after a bunch of national outlets reported it. So they're not happy with the way this was handled. Players are furious. Yes, they all want paychecks. Yes, the NFLPA's biggest job is to get them paychecks. But I don't understand why any of these teams would have had to forfeit, given the plan ahead rules that they did with the practice squad, with all these other, you know, non-obstacles they put in the way from a pure, like, on the field standpoint. Now, they have said multiple times that they will not change games or delay games for a competitive advantage standpoint. Okay, cool. Well, that's kind of what this seems like when you see Washington have, I think it's now 7 guys come back within the last 24 hours. Then you're also looking at the fact that they did threaten forfeit. That was never going to happen. John, I'm completely with you. That was never going to happen. But to then do a complete 180 and then 24 hours later agree on new protocols just seems like they wanted to buy themselves time, as opposed to, you know, protect their players or prolong this ability to have a bunch of Washington players return. And I think for 3 teams, they're undoubtedly getting, you know, the short end of the stick. And this was preventable, really. I still don't understand why this game needed to be moved. Now, if you said to yourself, well, the Raiders-Browns game definitely needed to be moved because of the numbers and because the Raiders are traveling to Cleveland, where that's where the locker room is that's being greatly affected. and you needed to move that one game, but to save face, you had to move 2 other games that have high COVID numbers. Then I understand the logic there from the league standpoint, but still, it doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. And it does kind of seem like J.C. Treader, who runs the NFLPA, should have recused himself from any sort of negotiation.
Yeah, JC's not doing that.
No chance, no shot. He worked hard to become the union president.
Okay,
he's going to take the advantage of it where he can.
No, he definitely took advantage.
Look, and I don't want to allege a conspiracy theory, but when you've gotten done a solid, you're more inclined to listen to the person who did you the solids, negotiations the next time around. We saw very quickly how the NFL was able to clear a new protocol list.
Yes, tremendous.
Players.
Funny how science and data works out with timing. Funny how that works.
Yeah, right. But that's my thing. It rings disingenuous to both the fan base and to the players who are getting, the short end of the stick. And I think if you're the 3 teams that did get that short end of the stick, I do think you need to say something to the league. I do think there needs to be some sort of adjustment, whether that's maybe getting 2 extra training camp practices in the summer, I don't know what the solution is, but I do think that I think a lot of people for the markets that were given a solid in Washington, Los Angeles, and Cleveland, they're all saying, well, why is everybody whining? They would do the same thing for the other teams. The Eagles aren't upset about having to play Washington on Tuesday, really, as much as they are upset that they have a 5-game turnaround to then play another division rival who's going to have plenty of rest in the midst of a playoff push. That's a problem for them. And they're going to play 3 games in 13 days, and that's just not a recipe for success. Oh, and by the way, they've got 16 days in between games, which means they've got to get themselves back up for that level, too, with contact, and then go immediately into this gauntlet. So I think that's the major concern. I don't think they care about playing Washington full tilt. I think they view themselves as equal or better than Washington. I think it's more of the, hey, look, for the name of safety and health, you're having them play 3 games in.
Well, maybe the tweak, Mike, was Jake Fromm. That was the that was the break that the NFL gave the Eagles. No, in all seriousness, no, because where you and I differ, it's not optimal for the Eagles. Sorry, Jody, I know it's your turn, but I just want to get this follow up. So from the NFL's perspective, and I think people differentiate my thought process. I know the NFL doesn't do anything for altruistic measures. They're trying to finish this season. Forget about the NFL. Look at what's going on in the NBA, NHL, society as a whole, with these numbers spiking with completely healthy, asymptomatic players. They did it for greed, as they always do. But I think they got it right for once to be proactive. This is where society is going. This is where the NBA will go, the NHL will go, or you're not going to finish the season. So if they didn't do this, what do?
Well, what does 2 days make a difference? Like, that's my point. Like, I'm all for
because the games they were buying the time. You're right, Mike. They were buying time to get the union to agree to the new protocols.
And I get that, but then why not just do it after this weekend? That's what you're doing anyway.
Very true. They could have waited, and they could have screwed. The Eagles got screwed. Yeah. They had their choice. They could have screwed Washington, Cleveland, or Los Angeles. They chose instead to screw Seattle, the Raiders, and the Eagles. Somebody's going to get screwed either way if they implemented the stuff in time to have it affect these games. Or you're right, they could have waited till played all the games this weekend, waited till after the Monday night game tonight, go, all right, here are the new rules. And then they would have had them going forward. They thought it was more fair to everyone across the league, and they knew they couldn't be perfect with it. Somebody was going to get screwed. They thought it was more fair to do it in the timeline that they did it.
Well, and what's interesting here is, right, and in talking to Eagles players, like, they've done all the right protocol. They've put 6 players total as of yesterday on the COVID list. 6 players. Yeah, sorry. Like, that's remarkable. They have really done a very good job, and they feel like they're being punished for doing all the right things. I'm not saying, like, Washington could have avoided some of this stuff. I'm sure they could have. But, like, what type of message does that send? Like, John and I were talking the other day, and he said it would be two-faced to punish Washington for doing all the right things and having this stuff, right, John? I don't want to quote you incorrectly.
No, yeah.
Well, isn't it hypocritical to punish the one team that is doing a very good job of maintaining all these protocols and not?
Well, I guess, and that's what, and I'll lean on Dr. Sills for my answer to that, because he's the one. Look, I think it's I get why the Eagles say that, because it hasn't happened to them yet. And I think it's natural to say we've been doing all the right things. The league's belief, and again, we know the background of this league, but more Dr. Sills' belief is it's hitting everybody.
Sure.
It's 70% more contagious. It's not about someone adhering to the protocols and someone not adhering to the protocols. I think the NFL proved with Denver last year, if they have evidence that teams are not doing the right things, they will say, screw you, go play. They did that with the Broncos in the quarterback situation. So from their processes, it's coming, and it's going to hit the Eagles even if they continue. Landon Dickerson, but did he stop doing the right things? No.
No, and that's a fair point. But again, what does 2 days do? Other than your negotiations, which could have gone through next week anyway. They moved the Cleveland game. Suddenly this becomes a quick turnaround for...
Well, and that's where I think the J.C. Treader part comes in.
Right.
I'm fully on your board with JC taking advantage of his position to help his team a little bit. Which, so in that, from that thought process, the Eagles got caught up in circumstance. Look, my argument, the Eagles, it's not optimal for the Eagles. They got caught up in circumstance. There's no attempt to screw the Philadelphia Eagles. There's no attempt to make things more difficult for the Philadelphia Eagles. They just got caught up in a difficult circumstance. And
why not have them play earlier in the day? Why not have them play on a Monday? Why, to me, Tuesday was just Tuesday night. Okay, so there've been comparisons to last year where teams got moved to Monday. Tuesday night is a completely different situation than a Monday night. Also, it's a completely different situation than coming off a Thursday night football game and then having to play, the next Sunday, right? Or playing Sunday and then having to go to Thursday, because normally you're not a night game the Sunday before a Thursday game. These guys are getting home at like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then they got to rest the next day on a Wednesday. And then they've got 2 days to practice. So Thursday, you're probably going to do a walkthrough. Friday, you're probably going to do a walkthrough. And then Saturday, you're still hurting probably from Tuesday. So then you've got to go into Sunday, and it's like, that's the difference to me. Like, I think a lot of people are missing the mark here with what this does for, not you guys, but I mean outside commentators in other markets. Like Seattle, Las Vegas, and Philadelphia are really going to have a quick turnaround. And it's not, there are going to be guys that are going to get injured. Oh, and by the way, the quarterback has a high ankle sprain. And if he plays on Tuesday and bangs that up, he's definitely not going to be available for the next week.
True. But I'll just say this. I'd be okay with the Washington football team and the Giants game being played as a doubleheader. Take about an hour in between and then get ready to go out and take on the Giants. And if you can't beat the Giants with revenge and Jeff Fromm at the helm, shame on you. You don't deserve to win. You don't deserve to make the playoffs. But you did reference Jalen Hurts. McMahon said earlier, certainly upper side of 50%. Did you give me an exact number, 80 or 85?
Yeah, I went 75.
75. All right. What's your number to Jalen Hurts with the extra 50-some-odd hours by the retiming of this week's game? Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback for the Eagles come Tuesday night.
80.
Right.
What would it have been at Sunday at 1?
60.
Okay,
I
that's
was
pretty
at
good move.
50-50, so Mike's a little bit higher, but same range. I was a little bit concerned Friday just watching Jalen stretch because he wasn't going side to side again, but the full practices was an indication that he was headed in a positive direction. Jody brought up an interesting point. I want to get your thought on this, Mike. If he wasn't playing, if they were going to Gardner Minshew in another game, you don't think the Eagles would dress Jalen Hurts, do you? As an emergency option, either he's ready to go or he's not dressing, or do you think that would be a potential possibility?
I think that would send a wrong message to the locker room, and I think it would send a wrong message to Minshew. Frankly, that's putting you ahead of Jalen Hurts on the depth chart.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the right move. I think even from a competitive advantage standpoint, like, yeah, Minshew could get injured on the 5th play of the game, but like if that happens, you're probably running the football the entire way. So, yeah, I don't know. I just like either he's ready to play or he's not. The way you solve that is you play Jalen Hurts, and if he suffers an injury, you immediately put Gardner Minshew in.
All right, but there's 2 spinoffs there that I disagree with both of you guys. If Reed Sinnett is forced into the game and you lose, how much do you open yourself up for second guessing? Because Jalen Hurts leading into the Jet game the Wednesday before said, "Oh, I'm playing." That was now like 21 days ago that he said he was playing in the game coming up that Sunday. So he's going to be honest when asked, were you capable of playing? And if he says, I could have gone, well, then everybody and his brother's going to start second guessing the Eagles for not having him active for the game.
Well, then start him.
Excuse me?
Well, then start him.
Right. Now, here comes question number 2. He starts. He's not moving around all that well. He's moving okay, but he's not his 100% Jalen Hurts. You know what he can do with his legs. He's not taking off. He's 55% completion rate. He's not exactly moving the ball down the field. When do you pull him? When do you go to Gardner Minshew? You know you're starting him. He's not 100, but you don't know what percent he is. You can only judge that by putting him out there and judging it as he goes. How quick are you with the hook if that's the case? If you're in a tie game at half.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not Jalen, you've got to pull him. You know, you gave him the opportunity, and you have the built-in excuse of saying, look, his ankle flared up. Like, I don't think this is, like, really that hard of a situation to figure out if you're the Eagles from a PR perspective. But I also don't think Nick Sirianni really cares about that. I mean, I think he's shown in a lot of ways that that's not really – look, he knows he's going to get second-guessed no matter what he does, right? We saw Harbaugh go for 2 last night at, you know, when he didn't earlier in the game. I thought it was the right call. I thought it was a terrible play call. So look, in this league, you're going to get criticized no matter what. Look, Tampa Bay is going to get criticized for last night getting blanked. I mean, that's just what it is. And so I think you can't go into a game thinking, hey, well, you know, what happens if this, you know, you've got to think about it from an on the field perspective, and they have to win this game. Don't get me wrong. They have to win this game. That's why I would start with Hurts. And if he's struggling, you can say, look, this was an injury situation. You're not benching him. You know, and you can say, look, we went into this game with 2 guys preparing. We got an extra 3 days. Both of them got first team reps. If Jalen doesn't play well or is you know, doesn't feel comfortable, we're going to move in with Gardner Minshew. And that's what you tell Fox in that production meeting. So they're prepared for it. I think that's the right move.
All right, let's talk about the Washington football team, Mike, because they still have a ton of people on the COVID-19 list. They still don't have a quarterback. Taylor Heineke's on there. Kyle Allen's on there. They signed Garrett Gilbert. He would most likely be the starter off the New England practice squad. They have Kyle Shermer. They have St. Louis Battlehawks superstar Jordan Teamu. Tuesday, Sunday, Thursday, any day that ends with a Y, Anyway, the Eagles should lose this game no matter what.
No. And you know what? Here's the thing. I think if the Giants game doesn't happen, I think there's a much larger percentage chance that they do get a surprise and lose this game. They are still furious about that Giants loss. Furious.
They
in my talking to players.
That is an awful loss.
They know that they like really can't take any. I don't think they took the Giants lightly, but they know like if they're the better team, they have to beat inferior teams or banged up teams. And I think, look, the strategy kind of changes now that the defensive line for Washington's back. They're a pretty good run stopping team. I probably wouldn't be as run heavy as coming in as I would before. They're missing their best corner in Kendall Fuller, so you can attack outside. William Jackson's been up and down. I think this is a situation for the Eagles where they've got to beat them with scheme no matter who's at quarterback. And look, with Quez Watkins coming back, you guys mentioned him earlier in the show, they're going to have to take advantage of the fact that William Jackson is probably going to have to roam with Devontae Smith. The rest of their corners are not good. Most of them are undersized slot corners. So you're looking at matchups. You're looking at maybe using Dallas Goedert in ways you probably wouldn't against other teams. The Eagles should win this game. There's no question in my mind that they should win this game. Will they? It's hard to guarantee anything given what we saw against the Giants.
All right, Mountain Man Mike. Let's see if your hat helps you look into your crystal ball for some statistical prediction for this game on Tuesday night. Let's say the Eagles run the ball 35 times. Now you can attribute as many as you want to Jalen Hurts taking off and running with it, as many or as few, but they're going to run it 35 times. What's the breakdown? Who totes it how many times? Jalen, Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, put Kenny Gainwell in there if you want. You got to break down 35 for me. And yeah, I'm making this up as I go along, and you're doing the same. Please do so for me. How do you break out 35 Eagle runs on Tuesday night?
I'd say 8 for Jalen Hurts. I would say 12 for Jordan Howard. So right there, that's 20. And then I'd say 13 for Miles Sanders and 2 for Boston Scott.
So slightly Miles Sanders over Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I think you've seen what he can do with a bigger bulk of the work. I think so. And also remember, Jordan Howard's coming off the knee injuries. So you probably want to kind of test him out and see how he's doing.
Is Kenny Gainwell even active?
Yes, they have to put Kenny you've got to use all the offensive weapons you have. I'm guessing that if they go into this game without Landon Dickerson, they'll have, unless they call for a replacement, they're only going to have 5 inactives. I'm guessing that's Marlon Tupuapu. I don't know.
Tuipulotu.
Yeah, right.
That's what he said.
The 2 rookie corners who have never been active, maybe Josiah Scott, and then I guess you would want, and then Reed Sinnett. You know what I mean? Like I just think you got to put Kenny out there because you do have a wide receiver who hasn't practiced all week. You do have 2 running backs who are dealing with injuries. You've got to protect yourself in that regard. But, they brought up LaRaven Clark from the practice squad, and he got a deal. You've got Dillard. You've got, with Suo Peta going to left guard, in theory, you're probably going to have Brett Toth be the backup guard. And then you got 2 swing tackles, and then Herbig would move into center if something happened with Kelsey.
Yeah, that was, Jeff Stoutman, I think at times is off there, and, I think he has a greenhouse in suburban Philadelphia, and he grows guards potentially. We're going to get a chance, most likely, and who knows, with the new testing protocols, but most likely Landon Dickerson is not playing. So it's going to be Sua Opeta. At some point, this has got to hurt the Eagles, right, Mike? I mean, we're down. People don't even talk about Brandon Brooks anymore other than to get no information. Isaac Seumalo, Jack Driscoll, Landon Dickerson. Now we're down to Nate Herbig and Sua Opeta, and we're still talking about this team being run first. At what point does it hurt?
Well, after Sua Opeta, I think Sua's a little bit of a,
the Tesla stock.
Yeah, the Tesla stock. Yeah, he's a bit of an unknown, but I do think the position of left guard. I don't want to say left guard's the least important position on the offensive line, because that's not what I'm saying. But I do think if you had a spot start, if you had to pick a place to spot start a guy, it'd be left guard. I think Jordan Mailata makes up for a lot of athleticism at left tackle. Obviously, Jason Kelsey is Jason Kelsey. I think with right guard, if you're going to anchor your running game, you want a bigger guy, and that's what Nate Herbig is. So, and also I didn't think Jack Driscoll was particularly good as a run blocker. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think Opeta is going to have some growing pains. I don't think it'll look perfect out there, but I think if you look at the way that they've been handled, I mean, like, Opeta's not just like coming off the street. He's been here for 3 years. He knows his blocking scheme very, very well. He knows what Stalin preaches very, very well. He's a former tackle in college. Like he's got athleticism. He can get out in space. I think they'll be fine here. Now, I think when you get down to the Jack Andersons and the, Andre Dillard moving into a new position, or Raven Clark moving into a new position, or Brett Toth playing center, I think that's when you're going to be hurt. But I think for right now, they can go a game with Sua Opeta.
All right, Michael, there's enough analytical evidence to back up the statement I'm going to make that the Eagles defense coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, gets more aggressive the lesser the quarterback they're playing against is, that he will blitz a little bit more, he'll play a little bit more press coverage, if those are the two things that you usually use to describe aggressive defensive nature. The lesser the quarterback, the more aggressive the DC is. How big a difference is it between the four guys who could actually start in this game for the Washington Redskins, with Taylor Heinicke being on the top of the mantle, and take your choice of either Shermer or Gail Gilbert, who's been there for about 20 minutes, jumping in and starting for the Saints? Does it matter this week, or should we be expecting a Jonathan Gannon aggressive defense? Because none of the Washington football team quarterbacks strike the fear of God in anyone's hearts.
No, and Heinicke and Allen, who are their top two quarterbacks, do throw interceptions. They do. I'm a Heinicke truther from his draft class. I'm a big fan of his. I like his movement in the pocket. The issue with blitzing Heinicke is Heinicke can move. Kyle Allen's got a little bit of pocket mobility, but he's not going to run away from you. I think they blitz a lot if Kyle Allen's the guy. Kyle Shermer has never played a regular season game. They will blitz the hell out of him. Garrett Gilbert's been in the offense for like 6 days, and he has a background with the offensive coordinator, so there is some knowledge. And he's been around the league. He's seen some stuff, especially in the preseason. But I think Heinicke's maybe the only guy that doesn't fit that strategy, and even then, I think he still does, if that makes sense. Like I think you've got to be aggressive here. I think you do need to blitz a lot. I think Avonte Maddox. I think the absence of Logan Thomas is a huge deal. I think that frees up your safeties to blitz and your corners to blitz a little bit more. Terry McLaurin's coming off a concussion. Outside of him, I wouldn't be that concerned at wide receiver, especially if Curtis Samuel is still going to miss the game with a hamstring injury. Adam Humphries is interesting in the slot, but it's not like he's a guy who's going to pick up yards after the catch. So I do think you're going to have the ability to blitz. I think you are going to have the ability to press. I think Slay's going to travel with McLaurin. He looks forward to that matchup. And look, I think if you trust Steven Nelson to cover one-on-one, which against these wide receivers I would, you feel good about blitzing and you feel good about press. Not Press Taylor, but press.
Nicely done, Mike. I was going to ask you about the Saints upsetting the Bucs, complicating the playoff picture in the NFC, but I have a finite amount of time, so I have to get to the important stuff. Best hour of wrestling TV in human history, Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page. Yes or no? Remember, Tony Khan is listening, so he will probably be angered if you say no.
No. I enjoyed it, but to me, an hour wrestling match is like overkill. Like you're doing a lot of.
It's tough in this short attention span culture.
Well, you're doing a lot of breather holds, right? You're doing a lot of rest holds, so it's like 20 minutes of the match is rest holds. My favorite hour of wrestling is probably the Ric Flair Sting draw.
There we go.
From
Clash of the Champions, the first Clash of the Champions.
Yeah, I'm a huge Sting fan. So that was when wrestling to me was still wrestling. Now it's wrestling entertainment. I know that Tony's trying to bring it back, but I don't know. I think Adam Page is a very talented wrestler. He is nowhere near the level that it is. And
he's not a needle mover.
Right.
It's the shirt, the Roman Reigns needle mover shirt. Have you seen it? Are you going to buy it?
But I'll get it for you for Christmas.
All right. You got to get it for me. It set the internet wrestling community on its you-know-what because it's a great shirt, by the way. Check it out when you get a chance. But Tony Khan, because I got this and you used to work in Jacksonville, anything to do with Urban Meyer hiring, I say no, not Tony's fault. Wrestling fans want to blame Tony, at least from one side, not his fault. Am I correct in saying that?
Wait, hold on, Jody. So what's your opinion on this before I give you mine?
Oh, Shad, it's his father's fault.
Yeah.
You going to blame him 100%. For Urban Meyer? No, Shad made the call.
100%. Listen,
he's more caught up in the wrestling. Can he name 7 Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yes.
I don't know that Tony Khan can do that right now.
He can name you everybody on that roster. He is
he's a nerd, the personnel nerd.
Yeah, he loves it. I've heard that he used to take statistical binders to bars. Like he's very much into it. Like he is always working. That dude, the saying "I'll sleep when I die." He is definitely into that mantra. Here's the thing. I think there's this weird thing with Tony because I know he's a fan. He wears his heart on his sleeve, sort of. I think he's a brilliant man. I know a lot of people talk about him having his dad's money and using it and whatever, but he's really utilized it. I think what he's doing with AEW is very smart, and I think he is a very smart businessman. That said, I do not think that he was a final say here. And knowing Tony the way I do, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I don't want to speculate, but I would probably guess that he was more willing to move on from Urban much sooner than his father was. So, look, I think they knew very early on, is my guess, that this was not going to work out. And I think, you can speculate as to when a decision was made, and you can say whatever you want about Shad Khan as an owner, but he's, in my experience, I can't speak for it, is very good with employees. And so when a guy gets publicly comes out and says that he was kicked, I think that's got to be the last straw, or the kicker, as it were. And I think Tony is very caught up with his toys and wrestling, and that's good because that's what he's very, very good
at. What he
at.
Loves.
Yeah, you got to do what you love, right?
All right, we're running out of time. I need to bring back this back to the seriousness of football. What was the greatest play in the National Football League yesterday?
I gotta think about that.
All right, I won't even make you think about it. I'll tell you what it was. Malcolm Jenkins pulling down Gronkowski's shorts. You can't grab the tights. You can't go there. He got a chunk of Gronkowski's
Malcolm played a great
and tried to pull his pants off him in the middle of the field. What kind of a wrestling move was that?
You got to do what you got to do.
Gold dust, and he was wearing gold. So there you go.
Okay. I'll cut him some slack because he was wearing gold.
Yeah.
Michael, thanks, buddy. Always a pleasure whenever we get you on. Keep your distance from McMullen on Tuesday night when you have to go into the press box. I wouldn't want to sit next to him if I were you, but if you wear that hat, you might be okay.
No,
Thanks
I'll just call him and yell at him. It's all right.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. We'll have you on
Thanks,
again
Mike.
in a couple of weeks. Thanks, buddy. Michael Kaye from NJ.com here with us on Birds 365. All right, we're running late. We'll come back. We'll put a bow on the show. We always do here on Birds 365.
This is Joe Krause of Krause's Coats, inviting you to donate a slightly worn coat or jacket and help veterans stay warm this winter. Go to Krause's Coats on Facebook to help those who've served. Have a happy holiday.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The city of Philadelphia sparkles during the Christmas holiday season with an array of colorful light displays and illuminated Christmas trees, donated or installed for free by the talented electricians of IBEW Local 98. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities at IBEW Local 98, visit us at www.ibew98.org.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
As a hardworking American, you've never experienced how tough life can be until now. A catastrophic injury while working on the job. A personal injury from someone else's negligence. Turned away by other law firms in the region who didn't bother to learn your story. It's time to meet the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm and managing partner Brian Fritz. Badly injured? Call the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm. Find out why they say, "We got this."
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Mac guys here on Birds 365. Thank you, Michael Kaye, for hopping aboard. Do us a favor before we wrap this show. Like us, follow us, subscribe
Like, share,
to us.
subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah, get it done before the show comes and goes. Come on. Yeah, you know you love us. Not everybody does. Big Al can't stand me. He says I yell too much, but that's okay. I apologize.
They love
Big
Mike
Al.
Kaye, so we get people like Mike Kaye on.
That's part of the charm. All right, John McMullen. So 22 hours before another Birds 365, what are you going to do with your life for the next 22 hours? No media availability. You're waiting on an email to find out if you are going to have to test again this week. They'll test you when you show up at the stadium tomorrow. You know that. They get a rapid test, but when are you going to test thereafter for the game, which, blink of an eye, it's going to be here on Sunday versus the Giants. What do you got planned for the next 24 hours? I got to go on WIP after Monday Night Football tonight. I know that.
Ooh,
Anything else you got to do over the next 24 hours?
That's going to be a long day. Yeah, I got to figure out a way how to write a preview for this game not knowing who's going to play the game. It's been very difficult. So I was thinking about what am I going to do if the game was Sunday? So I had a little bit of a respite from it, and here we are. I'm still trying to figure out what to say about the Washington football team because I don't know who the hell is going to play, like everybody else.
Don't know who's going to play. We'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out. That's the good news. 22 hours from now, we'll have a better grasp, but that isn't even an assuredness that we'll know exactly who's playing. That you're going to have to wait for kickoff on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. We will be back here in 22 hours. That's a promise. J-Mac, have fun writing. Have fun getting emails. Maybe you get a little shopping in for Christmas. You all done yet?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
I'm going to have to, one of these days, I'm going to have to trek out like one of those knuckleheads that goes out to a brick and mortar store.
No.
Just I wait.
Why
It's
even
too late.
bother?
It's too late.
Amazon will have it to you. I'll tell you a quick story. I know we got to go. We went to my wife's niece's house with their twins that are 19 months old on Saturday because Santa Claus came by on the Christmas the fire truck, and it was fun. We had a real nice time. My niece suggested something for my wife to get that she had in her house that my wife could get for my daughter for Christmas. This was 3 o'clock on Saturday. It was delivered to the house by 1 p.m. yesterday. Less than 24 hours later, Amazon had made the delivery of what my wife had ordered.
All right.
It's amazing how fast they can turn this stuff around. I'm gonna have
to take time out. So you just talked me into it. That's what I'm gonna do the rest of this morning. Then I got to get to work.
Get on the computer, do a little hour and a half for shopping. Just make sure that the wife isn't around to open up every Amazon package. Tell her, don't open anything that says John McMullen on it. That could be for you.
Oh, yeah. No, she has committed so many federal offenses. I could have her in prison at any moment. Anything that my says that ripped open. What is this? Ripped open.
On that note, it's a good time for us to get out. We will be back in 22 hours. Keep it here on the JAKIB Media channel all day. Middle coming up. The Silio Show coming up. Before you know it, we'll be back with you tomorrow right here on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on